Hi, welcome everyone to this month's Power Spread RPO Coaches Zoom session. I'm honored to have tonight's guest, Coach Brent Dearmon. Coach Dearmon is the offense coordinator and quarterbacks coach at Middle Tennessee State University. He's also the author of the book, The Evolution of the RPO, which you can find in your Apple ebook store. Also has 3 great CoachTube courses. If you have not checked those out, being gap sound RPOs, and then also identifying and attacking coverages with the RPO. Coach Dearmon is going to be talking about the RPOs and the process and a bunch of information tonight. The only thing, this is what I ask of all of you, is that please keep your microphones muted. If you have any questions for Coach Dearmon, put them in the chat, and I will get to them during different points of the night. But without further ado, Coach Brent Dearmon, it's all yours.
Thank you guys for having me. I get excited to come do these things because I grew up in a coach's family. My dad was a high school coach for 42 years, just retired about 2 years ago. My dad was an offensive line coach. I played quarterback. So when you hear me talk today, I'm going to talk offensive line language a lot more than I talk quarterback language. And really, if you understand how I was raised in an O-line family, you probably can see where I come from with how I talk RPOs. I think I talk it a little bit different than most people in the country. I've heard a lot of people say space and grass, throw if it's open, those type things. Well, I don't like gray, and I try to eliminate the gray for my quarterbacks. So I put together 4 really good in-depth, and I want questions. I want you guys to ask every question you have. My wife's putting the kids to bed. I've got all night long. So I want to make sure you guys get every question that you have answered tonight. I'm going to jump right into it here. Pull up my screen here. All right. So these are the things that I go over with my staff. These are things I go over with my quarterbacks, because if my quarterbacks don't understand the RPO as well as my staff does, then we are losing and we are not doing a good job. So first things first is the RPO must fit into who we are. I'm not just going to create an RPO week by week. It doesn't fit into who we are. I've got to understand who I am. Our offense has to understand what we want to base everything around, what we want to be good at, and we kind of package it together off that. The second thing here is we know what we are run game wise. So I'm an inside zone, power counter, and buck sweep. I spent 2 years with Coach Gus Malzahn at Auburn. And that's who he is. And that's what got ingrained into my mind, is we're going to be inside zone, power counter, and buck sweep. And I've had a lot of people say, well, what about outside zone? Outside zone's a great play. But here's what I know. I can't get great at running 6, 7 different run concepts. I want to get great at these 4. Not saying that outside zone, not saying that tackle dart, not saying that trap, ISO, midline, all these different plays, not saying they're not good. I just want our front 5 to get really good at those 4 schemes right there. And our RPOs are going to be based around those 4 schemes. And I try to pick one of all those tonight to talk about as well. And then we're a tempo team. I want to try to run our offense at a 2-minute pace the entire game. So what usually happens is we'll come up with these crazy RPO thoughts, and it needs multiple words. And because it's so lengthy, because we have to try to figure out so many ways to try to get it called, we end up not calling it because it doesn't fit who we are. We want to be able to call our system with 1-word calls, and everything is memorized, word memorization inside of that 1 word. Next slide here is why we run RPOs. Back in 2015, I took the Malzahn system to Arkansas Tech. And we averaged about 270-something yards rushing a game that year. And the more and more we started running the ball, and we got into the second season, we saw guys getting tighter and tighter to the run fit. And we said, we want to be able to run the football. And we want to find a way that we can get guys out of the run box. And if you're running, a lot of people run RPOs for a different reason. And that's not why we run them. We run them to run the ball. So when I'm teaching my quarterbacks that, it's easy for them. I know a lot of guys say, well, my quarterback's always throwing it. Well, it's by the language that you taught it from day one. If he understands that you're calling this RPO to run it, and you fix it when the run does not work, you'll see that he's going to hand that ball off more than he passes it. So that's who we are. We're a run-based team when we're trying to run our RPO. Our job at quarterback is to be the run game coordinator, is what I'm constantly preaching in my room. Your job is to fix the run fit. You are my run game coordinator on the field. You're responsible for a gap on every single run play. So I assign my quarterbacks a gap, not a man. Because here's what I've learned about assigning a man. They can play a different defense. They can come out on a Friday night and do something completely different than I saw on tape. And if they do that, and I'm telling that quarterback to read a man, that man may no longer be the run fitter. That guy may no longer be the apex player, the conflict player. So we are assigning a gap to that quarterback for him to handle for us. All right, and then my toolbox. This is something, if you've heard me speak before, this is something I've just now started to develop and put on paper. I've said these things, but I've never really truly put it on paper. And what I'm telling my quarterbacks now is I'm going to give you a toolbox. And it's my job from Sunday to Friday to teach you that toolbox, to teach you the things in order to fix your run gap, your assigned gap that I give you. If we get to Saturday, I want you to have multiple options. I want different tools to be in that toolbox instead of you going to work with one tool. Now, here's the way we do it. If you get a zone scheme play, inside zone, if we're running a zone scheme play, there's 3 ways for you to fix your gap. Number 1, you can read the gap for a pass. It could be a bubble. It could be a glance. It could be a stick route. One way or the other, I'm going to read it for the pass. The second thing that happens is if your guy is a blitzer, if the guy in that gap blitzes, you turn it into read to run. I'm no longer going to pass the football when my guy's blitzing. So if you've ever heard me talk before, I think I overcomplicated at times, and I said there's a C gap read and a D gap read. C gap reads, you're always running out. D gap reads, you can run out sometimes. Well, I think by labeling it this way, it makes it a little bit easier for them that I've ended up finding out. So if I'm telling you your read is the C gap player, well, if he's blitzing, I can't throw off of him. It means I have to read to run, right? Because he's the defensive end. If my read is the D gap player, who's mostly an apex player most of the game, I'm going to stay in the pocket to throw the ball a little bit more based off that defender. So that's why we've now made that rule. And then I can always make a now throw. A now throw is a bubble. It's a spot screen. It's a hitch. A now throw is not a glance. A now throw is not a deep route. All right. That is, I have to catch and throw right now. That's how I fix a zone scheme gap. If I get the gap schemes, and a lot of people are starting to get scared of gap scheme runs, gap scheme RPOs for the fear of that backside gap seal hinge protecting their franchise. So my quarterbacks, when we put in power and counter and buck sweep, I make them get up on the board. I make them draw the play. So they understand the problem. They understand why there's a massive problem on gap scheme runs, because we're taking a gap from the backside and we're adding it to the front side on power. So by process of elimination right there, we're losing a gap backside. And if I teach it to them that way, if I overcoach that we're missing a gap on your backside here, then they get it more often. They understand when they're going to be hot, when a guy's going to come off that backside edge and hit them. So how do I fix that? I can ride the gap to pass. All right. So I'm running power with a spot screen. That the apex player jumps into the fit. That D gap player, I can throw the spot screen out there. The second thing I can do is I can throw a now throw. Now throws when hot. If that guy blitzes, I want to abort that thing and I want to deal it right now to that throw if it's there. And then the last one, I got a picture of this or a film of this week in spring ball. I tried to get as many Middle Tennessee clips from our spring ball as I could when we get into the video today, because I want to fence off the pressure. And it's basically like playing power forward in basketball. I feel backside pressure coming on power. I'm still going to hand it off, but I'm going to get in the way of the backside pressure because that's my gap. I understand that backside D gap blitz is on me, so I'm going to fence it off so we get a successful run play right there. All right, and then the last slide before we jump into some video tonight is our RPO questions, how we build our RPOs. And a little bit tonight too, I want to talk a little bit of scheme, and we actually schemed our defense up in a couple scrimmages, and I'm going to show you how we did it and why we did it, so you can kind of see the installation or the week by week game planning side of things too. All right, number one, where is the QB protected? He has to understand where his gap is. And whatever his gap is, that's where he's hot. So he understands what's going to hit him. So you got to teach him what gaps are. You got to teach him the run play. Number two, who is the conflict player and where is his pass responsibility? For example, the Sam linebacker. This team, they're a hook the flats. Or if it's cover two, the corner is the flats player. Figuring out where the conflict is and what his pass responsibility is week by week to put that scheme together. Number three, what is the answer versus their secondary coverage? Now, here's the deal. Because I'm a tempo team, I see a lot less of the bull crap because we go so fast that I want them worried about just lining up, and we get in so many different formations, unbalanced sets and motions and all this other stuff that I want to see base defense most of the game. And when they're not playing base, they usually have one or two calls that they're going to get to, and I've got to figure that out in film. What is their secondary call? And did I build in an answer for that secondary call for each one of these RPOs? And then four, what are your answers for the following things? Number one being blitz. And for us, we're a color-based system. So if I'm running power to the right, I'm going to call red Packer, red Panther, whatever your power call is. For us, we are always hot away from the color. That's how it's ended up working out for us. So if we're running inside zone left where it's red Indy, I'm hot to the left. If I'm running power to the right, I'm hot to the left. So you're always hot away from the color when I use the color scheme there. So that's really helped us out and worked out for our quarterbacks there. Second thing, you better have an answer for man coverage. And our two answers, we actually got three answers for man coverage. Number one is quarterback runs. And anytime I can get a +1 QB run, it really hurts defenses in that man coverage. Some of you guys don't want to run your quarterback. He's not a runner, or he's the only kid in your school that can take a snap. So you don't want him getting hurt. So the other two options you got is you got to have one dude at receiver that's better than the dude that's covering him on the other side. I can fix that in recruiting. All right. Some of you high school guys, y'all get to recruit more than I do from me going around seeing some of y'all schools. All right. I know it. Then the last thing, we have this thing called Mansers, and I put a couple of those. I put one of those in today. A Manser is a man answer, and what I do is I give our quarterback a sheet that has our Mansers on it, and anytime he sees man coverage in a game, he can check a 2 or 3 receiver concept into a rub route. We call it Mansers, and I usually try to only give him 2 a game. I don't want to overcloud his head with too many of these things because he's not going to check into them, but probably once a game anyway. So I don't want to give him too many of those concepts. And then lastly, bear. When I get bear front, you've got to understand what you can block and what you're good at against bear front. And if I'm getting bear front, there's about 2 run schemes that we're going to go to. All right. And I don't want to give everybody the complete playbook keys, but speed option is one of our bear front answers. All right. I'm not going to go into the major other one. All right. The slide that I go over in great detail with my quarterbacks is this simple. It looks like elementary park ball football right here of teaching them what is A gap, what is B gap, what is C gap, what is D gap. We don't have any A or B gap RPOs run game in our playbook. Everything for us is based off of C gap or D gap reads. A C gap read most of the time is a defensive end read. And because the defensive end is mostly blitzing, means you're going to run out. It's a ride read to run. And then our D gap reads are that apex player, whoever's playing in that space. I'm not going to go over with him a Sam linebacker read. I'm not going to go over with him a boundary safety read. I'm going to give him a gap because it doesn't matter what coverage they play, someone is going to get into that gap. So that eliminates gray. I do everything I can to eliminate gray for our quarterbacks. All right. Get into our first concept. Our first concept, this is a D gap read. We're running inside zone to the right. So you heard me earlier. I'm going to call some type of red Indy, red zone concept to my O-line. I tell my O-line about what I tell my wife. Only the details she needs to know, because if I tell her too much, she's going to overthink things. So I tell that O-line red Indy. They have no clue what the RPO is. They don't even know it's an RPO. I don't want them thinking about not being physical. And we stress double team so much that we rarely get linemen down the field calls. All right, both of our outside receivers are running 4-step rounded outs. If I'm a high school coach and I got a young quarterback, I'm probably just going to run a hitch to the field right here. To the boundary, I can still run that route. That's not as far of a throw. That field route is that's a grown man throw. That's a GMT is what we call those. That's a grown man throw. All right. Wherever your quarterback turns to is the post-snap read. So here I'm turning him to the boundary. So the boundary D-gap player is my post-snap read. So this is a triple option ride read for that boundary speed out. That means these two field routes are both pre-snap decisions. That outside route we call a gift. If it's open, if it's beautiful on Christmas morning, if she's beautiful, she's got a great personality, we've been dating for a few months, and you're ready to drop down on one knee and propose to her, you throw that. And that's exactly how I explain it to the quarterbacks. There's no maybe. If they ever say or maybe, I say no. That means no. All right. You've got to be absolutely in love with her to throw that field hitch, that field out route throw. And then the next thing I'm going to decide is how close is that D-gap fitter to the field. That is my pre-snap read. I'm going to look at the gift first. I'm going to look at the D-gap second. If he is tight to the run fit, my job is to flash the ball to the back. I'm not truly reading. There's going to be some people that think that I'm reading it to my back side. As a quarterback, I can't imagine trying to read to my back. I can't read out of my brown hole, is what I tell my quarterbacks. All right, so I'm going to flash the ball, and I'm going to deal it to that 4-step out-turning hitch. We turn out, that way he goes away. He turns away from that D-gap fitter, so he can't be in my window. If this guy, if that's that Sam or that safety, who's ever in that D-gap, is not in the run fit pre-snap, then I'm going to ride read the D-gap player in the boundary. Now, one clip you're going to see on this tape is when they pressure, when the post-snap gap pressures me, what do I do? Because if the Sam pressures me, my tackle should have fixed it. My tackle should have made a push call, a fan call, a plus call, whatever your call is that handles front side blitz to the inside zone. The backside is what you're worried about. And quarterback, when your guy blitzes, what does it turn into? It turns into a ride read to run. So you run zone read only when you want zone read to be ran. And that's when they blitz you right there. All right, y'all stop me. Coach, if y'all got any questions, give me a shout and stop me here. All right, I'm going to draw this one up. It's a little bit different than what was on tape. We got in 11 personnel, put our hand down tight end into the boundary. We kind of schemed our defense up this day. All right. We push zone here. And by pushing the zone to the tight end with a 9 technique, that allowed our interior guys to get vertical movement on the 2 interior guys to the backers right there. That allowed our backside tackle to make a lock call. So this isn't true just inside zone. We were able to scheme up a way to get a vertical box when we did this. Now, the RPO is the same. We still got a 1 route here. We still got a speed out here. We still got our gift or our post-snap 4-step stick route right there. Now, because the back is coming this direction, this over here has to be my pre-snap side because I never read out of my brown hole. So all I got to do is change the color. And it's the same play for 10 guys. My quarterback just figures out which side I turned him to. This up here is my gift. And then this route here is my post-snap route. I used to have a touchscreen computer at my last job. This was not touchscreen, so you have to deal with me as I have to write with a mouse. All right, so he sees off corner inside to the field. So he throws his gift. I don't want him ride reading. There's no reason to ride read a gift. He should have just caught it, drop step, and threw it, and that ball would have already been out here, and that Sam linebacker would have had no chance to even try to get hands on this ball. And then if you look at it, if he didn't love his gift, there is nobody. We call this the Keith Sweat gap. In the early 90s, Keith Sweat sang a song called Nobody, Baby. And if Keith Sweat's playing that gap, that means you hand the ball off. So we schemed up a way to get a vertical downhill run right here with no D-gap player to the field. And you see the back still running to this day. But he loved his gift. And I don't want him to play hesitant. And if he completes the pass, I'll pat him on the rear end and say, great job. All right. I get in trouble all the time, Coach O'Reilly, because I don't show the butt shot enough. All right. I'm a son of an O-line coach. I got to show the butt shot too. I won't spend as much time on it. All right. But we were able to big call this, is what we call this, which allows 2 vertical double teams on the inside when we scheme this look up right here, and we lock the backside right there. All right. Another look right here. All right, you see my boundary receiver. He's cheating in because my quarterback is chewing his butt out. Because what we figured out, this is another scheme thing, Coach Banstra, is when I tighten that single receiver split down, most of the time people want to play that guy man coverage. But the tighter I get him, the less likely I'm going to get man coverage. So if you want to scheme up boundary RPOs to your dude, play with his splits and figure out at what spot on the field do they stop playing man. It may be 3 yards from the tackle. It may be 4 yards from the tackle. But you see here, we tried to play with his split to try to get off coverage a little bit. That apparently wasn't tight enough. We should have got him even tighter. All right, we're running now inside zone, pushing to the field. So we're C-gap to C-gap protected for our quarterback right here. This route is the gift. This route is the pre-snap D-gap fix. This is the post-snap D-gap fix. Now, I am not in love with the gift. He's getting pressed. But here's a great coaching point right here, Coach Beeson. My outside receiver almost screws this play up because it's just like a go flat concept. I don't want to get an inside release with that stick route inside of me. I've got to get an outside release, which is going to do nothing but open that corner up and open his eyes to the boundary. When he got an inside release, the corner was able to turn his eyes back inside and almost got in here to make this play against this kind of 2-read coverage. Our quarterback decided this guy was too tight to the fit. There's the D-gap player. He's too tight to the run fit. So I'm going to flash fake him. This is not a true read. He's just flashing it and dealing it. And all that flash did was hold that Sam linebacker to his fit before we dealt that pass out of there. All right, so you see it here. Sam linebacker's right here. He is in the run fit. He's about 2 yards outside that defensive end. They have declared that he is in the fit, so the quarterback knows. I've got to handle him. I've got this stick route coming right here, so I'm going to mess with his eyes by flashing it, and then I deal it. And I love it because I'm trying to throw quick game, and we are being physical, blocking up front. I get late fitters. I love late fitters. All right, another example. We're going inside zone. We're pushing it to the boundary now. So that just changes my post-snap. Here's now my post-snap read here. Here's the pre-snap. This is still the gift. I don't like the gift. They're pressing. All right, our defense is a quarters press team. So they take away those outside gift routes. But we're able to pick on that nickel Sam. And then here's the other adjustment that we made. Anytime this guy, this skill player, this H-back tight end body, anytime he knows it's an RPO, so he looks at the signals and he sees it's an RPO, he's basically like a lock tackle. I don't care where that defensive end is at. You are locking the end. That way we don't sift through and allow a defensive end to come off on our quarterback when he's not expecting it to. So you see how he's locking out on that 9 technique right here. They're trying to exchange gaps by bringing this Sam inside. He gets in the fit, so we pull it. We throw the tight turning hitch. I got one question in the chat. Do you convert the gift route to a fade ever when pressed? Great question. I am not in love with it because I like playing blackjack. And I used to go to Biloxi, Mississippi too many times in my life, and I didn't win all the time. And 50-50 is exactly what it sounds like. It's 50-50. And for me, I'd much rather just hand that run off and let's see if we can get 4 or 5 yards than being 2nd and 10. Now, every now and then I'll tell if I got a dude at that single receiver and that quarterback and that dude has got a great relationship of throwing that fade ball together, I will give them a little bit more freedom. But I'm not crazy about just checking into press fades all the time. That's just me. All right, how do I get back to this? There we go. There's a stick route right there. You see the running back is still, even if we hand this, that Sam linebacker is guessing. That D-gap player is guessing. Even if we handed this, it's still going to be a pretty decent run right there. Usually this one, my O-line, right here, my O-line coaches usually try to get me to pause the tape and upset that we didn't hand that ball off right there.
Hey, Coach, you got a question. Does your tight end rule fit for Y offsets as well?
Absolutely. He is man on. If he's offset, if he's hand down tight end, if there's an RPO tag, then he has to take that defensive end. Unless the DN crosses the face of the tackle. That DN disappears across the tackle's face. He knows the Mike linebacker or that scraping wheel linebacker in the boundary. One of those guys is going to show up. Hope that answers your question there. Another look at the same play. You see I'm messing with that D-gap player. That fullback H-back is locking on that defensive end to the field. And then you see how we tight turn out and sit on that stick route, that hitch route. This is a better job out here, how he got an outside release, which does nothing but open that corner up and get him a further away from this hitch route. Now, another thing in the boundary, now I'll go to my question. You see this tight split. So this tight split got this boundary safety to get a little higher out of there. So messing with this single receiver split, we have found out through the last couple of years, really messes with how they want to fit that boundary gap. Get to this question right here. Oh, just thanks. Good. No questions. Ask as many as y'all have, fellas. All right, we've got inside zone. We're trying to get our two double teams going here and here. I hate our left tackle, how he's just turning right here instead of trying to get face on face. Well, you're seeing that backside cut. All we're doing for my old school coaches, this is veer. We're running veer from the pistol is all we have found to do. My dad used to get mad at me and say he hated running inside zone. I don't stay in inside zone, but he would run veer 34 times a night. I said, Dad, it's the same pitch and play. All right, same play. We mess with that boundary receiver split again, and we mess with his split. We got this boundary safety a little higher out of the run fit. So it took 2 for 1 out of there. We read the D-gap player to the field. That Sam linebacker's hopping around. So he did not declare that he was in the fit. Hopping around means hand. So we hand it, and we just lost inside. We got a 4-yard run. You just hope you win a little bit better inside right there. I don't want to just come in here and just show explosive plays. You got to show the plays that barely work too. All right, and then we never got to clip the spring of a blitz into that play. But here's a blitz. So he is reading the D-gap player to the field. His D-gap player is now a blitzer. So what is his decisions? His decisions are I can either ride read it to run, or I can make a now throw. And you see he's running out of it. This is the first time you've seen him run out. He's only going to run out when he blitzes his gap. And he understands that's his man, so he gets in his way because that's his guy. The D-gap player is his man, so he occupies him, and we're able to get a big run. There's a Texas native right there out of Dallas Skyline, Belton Garner. Odd front kind of changes that tight end rule because he truly doesn't have a outside or head up defensive end. So now he's part of the zone scheme. He's going to go down now with that tackle. All right, now an adjustment that we played with this spring, all right? If you've ever heard me talk before, you've never heard this one. This is the first time ever I'm breaking this one out. We're running the same exact play. We just called it some different name. Let's say, for example, our inside zone was Indy. So I may have called this Colt because to the O-line, we're running the same play. We're running inside zone, and we're pushing this zone to the left, all right? But because this guy's out of the fit, we never push out of the box. That's our O-line rule because the quarterback handles that guy. Even though we may think he's tight, I'm not pushing out unless he is on the line declaring as a blitzer. So now these two can get a vertical push. These two are actually zoning left, but they're going to vertical push to here. It's an RPO, so we're going to lock the backside in. We, up to this point, we either been pistol and cross face here or offset and came here. This day, we same sided it. So Colt for us would have been a same side inside zone. So if you want to really mess with that defense, do some same side zone to do the exact same RPO. This is a good week 3, week 4 change up of something they hadn't seen on tape of that zone going right at it. Because right now, that Sam has to immediately declare. He can't slow declare with his back coming in that path. With that back coming straight downhill inside zone, you know, some people call this duo. I still think it's inside zone. I've been studying duo for about 4 years now. I still hadn't really figured out the difference between inside zone and duo yet. Maybe y'all can teach me up on that one. All right. Well, you see that Sam has to declare a lot faster, and we get let me go back to the wide shot now. You see we still get that open stick route right there. Still playing with that boundary receiver split, which just softened this coverage that run fitter up into the boundary. So they're getting late fitters. I love late fitters. O-line coaches love late fitters. Now, here's the negative of this play, and you better teach your quarterback this. If we're going black colt, where are you hot? I'm hot away from the color. So if we're going black colt, I'm hot over here. So this is one of the only times that he's hot backside on the inside zone concept. But I'm about to get to power, and power is the exact same. So he treats it just like power. So if they blitz from this side, I'm just going to hand it, and I'm going to fence it off. I run the exact same play. We run split zone, and split zone for us, we've been going here and here, and our back would have came this way and came across. But now it was the same day that we tried to screw our defense in the scrimmage to scheme them up, and we did same side split zone. Look at the D gap player to the field when I do this same side action inside zone right at it. He has to get in the fit right now, which helps declare it for the quarterback to be even faster with his decision. And we're able to attack that voided space off that D gap player right there quick.
Coach Dearmon, question.
Yes, sir.
What is the quarterback's footwork when the hitch is pre-snap? So zone's going away. What's his footwork when he has to flip back around? What are you telling him?
All right. So when I'm throwing this hitch, let's say we were running zone like this, and I got to throw that hitch. He's going to stay on the spot because our back's job is to go 45 degrees and then take a swing step around the quarterback. It's his path. So all the quarterback's going to do is just turn his shoulders and deal it. He's not going to move his feet really at all. He's just turning his shoulders because those defensive players, if Coach John, I hope you didn't invite any defensive coaches in the room tonight. All right. They are outlawed from listening to these talks. Okay. Because those defensive guys, Coach Butler, are taught to read the quarterback's back. They're going to fast fit where he turns his back. They're going to slow fit to where he opens. So we use their rules against him now. And I'm going to show him my back to deal that pre-snap. That helps you out a little bit. All right, so here we go. We're running that exact same play, but I got in 21 personnel, all right, because my former boss, Les Miles, he loved 21 and 22 and 32 personnel, all right? So we got more and more of these RPOs at a big set. So I'm in 21. I got a hand down tight end in the boundary. Some people call this slot. If I was playing NCAA football or Madden, this is normally called slot, all right? And I've got a hand down and a fullback in the game, and we're still running the same play. This guy should have had the out turn and hitch. This guy should have had the speed out. But we get man. So that quarterback was given a man serve, like we talked about earlier. And this is the first time that I've truly included this in a clinic. All right. So our quarterback has already looked out there. You see, he's rubbing right now. And he gave the little subtle signal to those two guys, hey, I'm checking into a man serve. Screw that RPO. That sucks. It's man coverage. So I know it's man. So he's not reading anybody right here, guys. He just saw man. He got to our man check. He had a bad snap. You see the rub happening. So he had a bad snap. And he said, you know what? I'm not making that bad decision. I'm not throwing this football because I had a bad snap. I'm just going to make this play work and just hand it off. But you see the rub, how that rub route is coming open, that we could have dealt that slant right now for a big game. The other thing that happened right here, Coach Butler, is they're blitzing him to his open gap. So he could have turned this into a zone replay as well. Say this guy would have showed up faster and attacked the back. It's built in where he can go and hurt him right there. And this is why I put in 1 RPO a day, all right, because there's so many little pieces. Even though it's simple to 10 guys, but it's complicated for that dude that I got pulling the trigger. And when he understands gaps, like a center understands gaps, like a tackle understands gaps, then we got a chance to be pretty good. Same exact play. We figured out that this big sets caused our defense to play more man coverage. When we got in 21, 22 personnel, they played man more. They wanted to blitz more. So he checked into that exact same rub concept, and you're seeing it wide open. He saw blitz, so he got worried. It's a now throw. So I'm chewing his butt out because it's a now throw. He could have thrown it immediately to that rub, and this would have been a big play for us. So a lot of people are just going to clinic off of the best clips. I'm going to bring the bad clips because you can learn off bad clips. Quarterback should have dealt it right now. And if our tackle sees the pressure and crashes that down because of our H-back, you see, here's our H-back's rule. Somebody asked it earlier. He's got that in. But when the end leaves and crosses tackle space, then you have the first thing available that shows. It goes back to inside zone rules where you stay in the gap. So we're still able to get a plus run. We get 3 yards. And I'm okay with 3 yards, but I would have really loved to throw that now throw when you checked into your Manser right there. Watch one more, and then I'll check the chat real quick. Here we throw it, and we drop it. Holy crap. We checked into it 3 times, and y'all got to see all 3 times we checked into that Manser, and every time it was open. We finally throw it, and we piss and drop it. And here's what I love, all right? I give this cue. Look at where we're at on the field. This day, we work backed up, and we put the ball at the 1 yard line. A lot of people get scared to death at the 1 yard line, and they want to go under center. They want to go QB sneak. I say, screw that. We get paid to score points, all right? So we get in 21 because all I'm doing is adding a gap, and we're still running inside zone. I just add an extra gap on this side. So I protect him from D gap to C gap, and I just give him 1 gap on the goal line. Instead of trying to give him 2 gaps to fix at the goal line, I'm going to find heavy formations to give him 1 gap. And you see, he could have read this guy for the blitz and handed it because that guy's containing. And we'd have had a good run. That would have been a nice little run right here. But he saw man, so he threw the man play, and we drop it. Love it. Coachable moment right here. All right, let me check the chat right here. All right, QB's footwork, coach. Oh, I already answered that one, I think.
Yep.
How long is the QB riding to make a decision? All right. He rides it from his back knee to his front knee. So we work a 5-minute period pre-practice. Every day for 5 minutes, we work mesh points. We call it CQ, or center quarterback exchange. And it's a way for me to work snaps, and it's a way for me to work mesh points. And I bring the H-backs with me as well. And I will just call plays, and they'll be, let's say, I'm just going to set this thing up right here, like this was the field. All right, I'm going to put one center at the 5 on this side. I'm going to put the other center at the 15 on this side. This group is going this way. This group is coming out. I'll stand somewhere in the middle, and I'll call a play. There'll be a quarterback, running back, center, and an H-back right here, and they'll run that play. It's kind of a run pause period too. There'll be a center, quarterback, H-back, tailback on this side. The other, if we have 4 centers, the other center plays a shade. So he can work his technique. He can work his steps at center. The other H-back plays whoever he's supposed to be blocking. And it's a great way to work multiple things in that quick 5-minute period pre-snap. That way we can work that mesh point from back knee to front knee. All right. Where's your tailback's footwork? Inside zone out of pistol. His footwork out of pistol. I don't know if I think I have one in here somewhere. But he's going to take a 45-degree step. See if we see here. He's going to take a 45. He is too wide right here. The other thing you got to do, anytime you go pistol, what I have found out is you got to bring your stance closer together because you got to get more width with that first step. So if my stance is tighter in the pistol, I can gain more ground. I can gain more width with that first step. When I'm offset, I can get in that normal base that you've been teaching tailbacks for forever. When I go pistol, I tighten my split down. And what we do is about every 4 days, we change it. That way I can just piss off my defense coordinator all the time. We'll go pistol for about 4 days. We'll go offset for 4 days. We'll do same style stuff for 4 days. We'll do cross face stuff for 4 days just to screw them, all right? But I'm taking a 45-degree step with that right foot. My second foot is called a swing step, and he swings that foot around the quarterback. And our tailback is responsible for the mesh, not our quarterback, because our quarterback has so much on his plate. I tell that tailback, if you want the football, you'll put your belly on it. That answers your question there. All right, our second RPO. Any questions on that first one before I move on? Beautiful. All right, our second. All right, I have, if anybody's studied up on the stuff we do, my second one I usually put in is the split zone glance. All right, it's the same RPO, but with split zone blocking in front. But today, I want to show you how we combine two different ones. We combine the power and the glance, because I know a lot of people are enamored with that throwing that boundary glance. And you don't want to just run inside zone all game. You want to be able to run power. All right, so a little bit of scheming goes into this, of understanding. Your quarterback's got to truly understand when you get to this stuff. And my quarterbacks, I got lucky. Our guy that transferred in is a son of a high school coach. We've got a couple kids that's been in the program multiple years. They understand ball. They understand football. So I can throw a lot at those kids. On power, here's the biggest thing, is that backside gap. We call it a hot gap, because that is where you're going to get hit. We're running black Packer right here. It's power to the left. Where am I hot? I'm hot away from color. That's why we use colors. All right. It helps me in the teaching of our RPOs and our run game. I'm hot away from color. So anything that's on this side of the field has to be a hot answer. That's why we put that inside slant there. The inside slant you only throw when you're hot. The outside slant is now the gift. If you're ready to propose to her, you think she's beautiful, you stand up and you throw it. All right. I don't have to flash either one of those. I actually don't want you to flash when we're running the gap seal hinge backside. All right. And then I'm going to post snap ride the D gap player to the boundary. And if he gets in the fit, we throw that glance route over the top of him right there. That glance for us is a 5-step slant, is the way we teach it to our receivers. It's a 5-step slant. And then we got power rules of everybody gap down. All right. I got inside gap, head up, climb the linebacker. Fullbacks J blocking the defensive end. All right. Now, here's a little scheme. You heard scheme earlier on the same exact concept. All these defenses want to press your single receiver in the boundary now. So you see this split, and we're a big buck sweep team, which I put a little bit of buck sweep on here later on in the clip. But this is a buck sweep alignment. This is a crack alignment. So they're making all these calls now on the defense side of the ball. Check, 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 tight split, tight split, tight split. Well, all that tight split did is get this guy right here to play soft, because he's trying to figure out more. He's trying to figure out what's going on. What's that single receiver going to do? So we're running the power in the boundary, and we cheat that split down. He's still running the glance, 5-step slant. We just did it from a tighter alignment. So that's a little scheme side of things. You see, his release froze that safety because he's so tight. The safety doesn't know, are you coming to crack me? Are you coming to push crack me right here? So we should have handed this. That guy's not attacking the fit. I'm chewing my quarterback out right here because this guy is sitting on his heels. He has stopped. Hand the power off. And we got a downhill run for about 7 yards. And then my right tackle screws up and doesn't gap seal hinge. So we probably would have taken a sack right here. But it's a coachable moment. I'm not just going to put the beautiful ones on here. It's a coachable moment. All right, running power to the boundary. Got the glance in the boundary. You saw the double slants up top. He didn't like the outside slant. The inside slant right here was just for pressure. But internal pressure doesn't bother you. It's that outside pressure that bothers you. That right tackle should have hinged back, and that defensive end should not be there on our quarterback as well. And we should have had power running right here. Force this guy to get in this fit. That's a 5-yard run on power. I'll take a 5-yard run on power. All right, another one. Here's why I love this set. If you got a blocking tight end, I love this formation. 2x2, tight end in the boundary. And all that, this enables me now to quick motion my X to run the same play. We got to a scrimmage. We said we liked how that last one looked, but how can we hide it? We hide it by this quick motion. And quick motion gets off coverage. So there's another scheme thing, all right? So we're going to find ways to run our plays. We're just going to mess with splits, and we're going to mess with motions. We're going to mess with those things to run our plays. We're not going to create new plays. Now, what's coming? Backside pressure. The quarterback felt the backside pressure coming, so he threw the inside slant. What does that do? It eliminates TFLs. And a great offense eliminates TFLs when you don't have tackles for loss. Now, I respect the heck out of it, all right? He gave me a chance and gave me a chance to the next level. My former boss would have said, check the run play. I don't want to check the run play. I want to be a tempo offense. I want every play to be snapped as fast as possible. So when I run power left, I don't want to have to check in the outside zone. I don't want to have to check into another run play. I want to run power left, and I want the QB to fix it. And there it is. Because you know what hurts the play. And I'm going to talk to all my O-line coaches in the room, and they'll value this. All right. When they see that a quarterback will do this, your O-line coaches will love you even more. Because what hurts gap scheme? It's not the backside pressure that hurts gap scheme. It's the movement that goes with the backside pressure that hurts it. So when this guy blitzes, he's going there. He's going there. He's staying wide. So this run sucks because they are stunning into power. That is bad. That sucks. So you built in a fix that fixed the run play for you. All right, running the similar concept. I just want to put it, we run just a hint of split zone ISO, which ends up blocking the same way, guys. You're blocking for your quarterback, C gap to C gap. As long as you understand that this box is taken care of when you live in 11 personnel, and your quarterback's going to handle the D gap player. All right, well, we did this game. This was a scheme thing against Henderson State Reddies right here. All right. If you ever been to Arkadelphia, Arkansas, there's 3 cities. All right. There's Hale, there's Monticello, Arkansas, and then there's Arkadelphia, Arkansas. They're real similar if you ever traveled through that state. All right. So you see we're running split zone ISO. That boundary safety got in the run fit because we made him jump in that fit by running ISO at him. And we're able to throw that glance over the top of him right here because he got in the fit. So it's a very similar concept, running that glance. All right, and then here's the last one that I wanted to make sure you saw with power. We're running an RPO to the field right here on the 1 yard line again. Coach, you are crazy. You're losing your mind. You're trying to run 11 personnel RPOs on the 1 yard line. No, I'm trying to score points. My job is to score points. My job is not to be timid. My job is not to give a timid impression to my offense. I send a message. In my opinion, I send a message to them when I call quarterback sneak right here. Hey, I just want to get out of the end zone. Hopefully we can punt the ball. All right. So we're attacking right here. Well, they blitz me backside, and that's where I'm hot. So we're running red Packer. He understands he's hot backside. And what does he do? Coach Butler, what is he doing? He's fencing it because he understands that's his gap. So he fences it and gets just enough and blocks the guy. My quarterback turns into an O lineman right here and blocks him just enough so we don't get a TFL. So it's not always about just throwing RPOs. It's about your quarterback understanding the run play. And when we run power right and they blitz me to the left, it sucks. And you have to fix it. Do I want to fix it with you checking into a pass play? No. Just get in the way of the blitzer right here. And we got 5 yards. All right, next one. We're running buck sweep. All right, the staple of the Malzahn offense is the crack sweep. All right, and you got to see, we've already played with that single receiver split. So a lot of coaches always ask me, well, how do you hide that? Well, we hide it by all these other plays we run. We're going to cheat him in to hide him in there to run the glance. We're going to cheat him in there and run the flat route. We're going to cheat him in there to run nakeds. We're going to cheat and get that 4 yard split from the tackle. His job is to one step crack the first thing in the box. Our fullback's job on this play is to do everything in his power to log the defensive end. But the key is you stay engaged. So even if the end widens, stay engaged. All right, that's the key to the buck sweep. Play on their side of the ball and stay engaged at fullback. Up front, our guard and our tackle are down blocking their gap. If you don't have a guy in your gap at guard, you are pulling and kicking out the flat player. We call it a question mark pull. All right, our center and our tackle are both gap down it, and we're asking them. All right, if you've heard me speak before, always reference a verse in Matthew that says you can't serve two masters. This is one case where the offense is in conflict. Those two linemen can't serve two masters. Their first job is to not allow penetration. The problem is when you sell out to not allow penetration, that dude's going to cross over the top. And then your second step is got to get vertical to cut that off. So we're trying to ask our tackle and our center to serve two masters here too. Our backside tackle is doing a gap seal hinge. That means quarterback, there's a hot gap right there from where we pulled the guard from. So once again, we got the double slants. Inside slant's hot, outside slant is a gift. If you love her, you throw it to her, okay? Now, this is not a true RPO. As crazy as it sounds, this is just a run fix. I'm not ride reading anybody on this field. I'm handing off buck sweep unless if you get field pressure. Now, does field pressure hurt the buck sweep? No, not the actual field pressure, but the movement that goes with field pressure hurts the buck sweep. And I make my quarterbacks learn that. Well, what do you mean, coach? Well, I just told you, this center's got to serve two masters. And when they blitz from the field and this nose guard crosses his face, he's probably going to lose because he is stepping with his left foot to try to prevent penetration. Same thing with his tackle. He's probably going to lose. So your job is to fix the deficiency in the run play. It's not a true RPO. And all we're trying to do is eliminate TFLs. That's the offense. All right, so here we go again. We're in 11 personnel, 2 by 2. Tight ends hand down in the boundary. He's got a 9 technique, which sucks. All right, but we had to install this play. We had to run it. So he's got to stay engaged. Don't allow penetration. Stay engaged. And our guards will read your block. That X is coming to crack the first backer in the box. And then we have hot slant and gift slant right there. Here comes pressure. Deal it. Now, I would have loved, this is the first time they did it. And my guy right here tried to get cute. The slant is the inside slant. Throw the inside slant. You almost throw a pick 6 right here. But he kind of understood the concept at this moment in time. By the end of spring, they got it fully. But he understands. And now I'm going to show you, all my O-line coaches are going to celebrate when I show this clip because I'm trying to run gap scheme in the boundary. And this tight shade crosses face. This 3 technique crosses face. And that run would have sucked. And we will 1 for 1 for a 6-yard pass. And nobody in the crowd knows a pissing clue about what really just happened right there. What happened is your quarterback fixed the gap. Now, what else? If you're looking right here, what else is in his arsenal that fixes that guy? He could have ride reading the run. So if he would have attached tight to that running back's hip, he could have pulled it and replaced him as well. Because that's his gap. He has to understand who his gap is. And his gap is the field D gap on this play. All right, run the same play. Here's that quick motion again. We ran it with a different RPO a while ago to run the glance. Now we're running with a buck sweep. Oh, here's a stack. Stacks tell me a story. They got a stack. Stack, hey, quarterback, something's up. Here comes the blitz. Now he threw his inside slant. I love it. 9-yard gain. Got a 9-yard gain. Beautiful. I didn't put any of the buck sweeps that we handed and got good gains on because that's not what this clinic is. This clinic is about throwing the football, fix the run. All right, we got this tight shade. With this blitz coming, that tight shade is going to cross face. This 3 is probably going to cross face. And the buck sweep would have sucked. They were bringing a daggum field blitz, dropping the boundary into the buck sweep, which would have made me go, holy crap. Wish we would have handed that buck sweep right there. Never make your quarterback second guess himself, though. Always let him play with confidence. Okay. Now I'm going to give you a C-gap read. This is probably our deadliest C-gap read. This one goes back to the 2013 Iron Bowl right here, where Nick Marshall pulls it with about a minute left to go in the game, tucks it. Alabama cover 2s, and the safety got in the run fit. We throw it for a touchdown to tie the game right before the kick 6. Okay. This is our boundary zone read play. And now the quarterback is understanding gaps a little bit more. So I give him the field D gap pre-snap on this play. So pre-snap, he's going to look at the field D gap. And he's just going to ask himself, can my receiver block it? And if he's too tight to block it, you fix it. Now, I'm going to tell you this. I got through an entire 15 practice spring ball, and we fixed it twice to the field. There were a couple times that I questioned why they didn't. This is a tough one for even my guys at my level to understand. I'm going to be honest with you. So you may not want to put that pre-snap. Hey, if there's too tight, fix it. All right, but that's what we do. And I put a clip of it here on here. You may just want to tell him to block and just run the boundary zone read. My fullback is going to arc release the defensive end, and his job is scraper to safety. He's first going to look in for the scraper because we're going to protect our franchise from that 220-pound linebacker first. And then he'll climb to the safety. Our X receiver is running an outside release fade unless the boundary safety gets over the top. If he gets over the top, you sit it on a 10-yard fade stop. Now, quarterback is automatically running out of this play because it's a C-gap read. It's a defensive end read who is always blitzing. Now, pre-snap, the Sam linebacker, the D-gap player, he thought was tight to the run fit. So he just subtly gives our bubble signal and deals it. He doesn't need to tell the back because the back's going to the other side. So we're still running inside zone, pushing to the field, and we just deal the bubble when they got too tight to the run fit. You see a little bit of that pistol footwork happening right here. Wish he was a little bit tighter. But you see that 45-degree left step, swing step with that right foot. And then we chase the butt of the center is what our inside zone steps are for our back. I've learned don't overcomplicate it for that dude. He usually is not the brightest cat on the field. So when I try to overcomplicate it for running backs, it's not good. You're not allowing them to just play ball. All right, here we go. We're running our zone read concept here. He thought the Y could block the D-gap player. I agree with him right here. So he's just reading the C-gap from back knee to front knee. He pulls it. You see the ball is in position to throw when he pulls it, right on that right breastplate right there. And then our H-back is blocking outside pad. This is phenomenal by our H-back by continuing to track outside pad because he's blocking for the quarterback run up the sideline. And the longer it stretches, the longer that QB can stretch away from the rest of the defense right there. And then you see a key staple to what we do. Why are we a tempo team? Watch what my Q does at the end of this play. Whistle's blown. He finds the ref in the middle of the field. We no longer give the ball to these guys over here because what you figure out is they take all piss and day to throw that ball in to the guy that I'm just going to run and take it to. And when we did that, it allowed us to snap the ball even faster. So this was our tempo period to start the day. It was not very fast. As you see, we got to be faster. All right, same exact play. We do it at a 20 speed this time. All right. So 2 tailbacks in the game. Can this guy block the D-gap player? He thought he could, so he's going to go in here and dig that guy out. So there is no bubble given right here. He does go in there and get him. By having 2 tailbacks in the game, they can't key the true fullback. That's what I like. And also, there's a lot of high schools that you don't have that 230-pound H-back, that guy you can afford for him not to be playing linebacker on your team. So 20 speed is another way for you to be able to get to some of these concepts by having 2 tailbacks. You see that? Watch that tailback right here. He dips around that end. My father gets so excited when I call that a Veer Release. All right. So if you ever run into the old Coach Dearmon, refer to Veer Release, and he will get a big old smile on his face when I talk about Veer Release right there. All right. So he dips around and he's finding scraper to safety. And look where he's tracking. He tracks outside pad. And then the corner never falls off. So you see the quarterback finally tucks it, takes off, and gets vertical. O-line, it's inside zone. Same exact play. At a 20 speed again. Our Y goes in here and blocks the D-gap player. Do you ever notice, don't ever have a clinic, don't ever have a chalk talk with a defensive coach. They never think you're going to win, all right? When I drew this play up, they always said, no, that's Sam, that dude ain't going to block him. He's going to be in the fit right now. Okay. I saw it on tape. He did it. All right. We blocked it. Okay. Defense coach is always so mad. So like when I try to talk ball with him. All right. You see that that's just me venting right quick right there. All right. That tailback, tailback that's truly the fullback on this play tracks that outside pad. Quarterback rides it from back knee to front knee, pulls it, corner never falls off. So now it turns into QB run. All right, here we go. He give the bubble signal. Why he didn't throw it, I have no idea. All right, so he gave the bubble signal. You're seeing right here. I'll give you a little tip. All right, we make our receivers confirm it because I don't want to stand up to throw a bubble and he didn't get the signal and I look like the idiot in front of 25,000 people. So we make them confirm it. I would have loved to have thrown it, but he decided not to. He ride reads the end collapses, that tailback peeks inside for scraper, no scraper. So then he quarterback run. We get about 7-8 yard quarterback run right there. All right, let me show a pass. I think there's one we passed. Should have thrown the pre-snap bubble. We don't. Crap happens. This was in our tempo period, so our defense didn't always line up right because we were going so fast. Q pulls it. The corner in the boundary falls off, and we throw the go ball. Here's the rule for the quarterback. Never overthrow the wide open receiver. So that's why you see this ball a little bit behind, because that's our rule. If he would have overthrown this ball, he would have got an 11.5 shoe up his rear end. Never overthrow a wide open receiver. Now, I can run that same, my 10 personnel guys, all right? I have nothing against you guys. I just don't live in 10 personnel very often. But I put a little bit in here for you, all right? If that's you, you don't have to identify yourself, but we can talk later. I can try to convert you out of 10 personnel. All right, here we go. So that S is doing the same exact job that tailback or that H-back did. He has scraper to safety. Don't go in there. You weigh 160 pounds. Do not go in that box. That is not what you're designed to do. You see him, goes in there. No, stay right there. He's going to come back out. He goes too far. Now, it's a bad read by the quarterback. We should have handed it because Y would have got on that guy, even though defense coach said it's not going to happen. And our running back should have been out that door on the field safety. But we had a quarterback that didn't follow the rule book. The wide open dude. Corner fell off. Never overthrow a wide open guy. Dang it. All right. And they all, defensive side, they all jumping up and down the sideline like they got a big play and all this bull crap because we didn't piss and execute. As you see, this guy's job is to block the D-gap player. He crashed him down, so that back would have been able to jump cut right off of that rear end. Never overthrow wide open guy. All right, one more clip out of 10 personnel. This guy's got scraper to safety. If the scraper doesn't show, if he stays in the box, then you work up to safety. We go back knee to front knee, pull it. You see it's in his breastplate right there. His eyes are on that corner. That corner sinks, so he tucks it and goes. This guy, my slot, is way too, there's no reason to go in there. Just chill. Just relax out here. He'll show up to you. If he doesn't show, then you climb vertical, and he should be on his outside pad tracking the outside ear. You see we get a big run right there. All right. Now, if you have a quarterback, I want to throw this one play in there at you. If you've got a running quarterback, here's something that we started playing with. We bring speed sweep motion, but we don't speed. There's a lot of teams that just speed sweep, just speed sweep. This dude just stops over here. We don't do that. We motion to add a gap. So our motion guy actually turns into the H-back on this play. So we're in 11. And instead of asking my H-back now, my H-back's on the front side blocking inside zone. So we can send our push to the Sam that's coming in the box. These two can push vertical to the mic. Our tackle can still keep his slip rules to the wheel linebacker. And now our motion guy, who normally plays that boundary slot, is going to block scraper to safety in the boundary off the C-gap read for the quarterback. And it's the exact same play. We just add a motion. So quarterback still reads back knee to front knee, in collapses. This guy should have been more fluid, getting up to his spot, getting on the outside pad, just like that. And now I got a QB run off of motion. It's still an RPO because that X receiver is running the fade ball if the corner happens to fall off. If you got a QB that can run, this is a very nasty concept, especially when you add the motion in. And then this is that city right above Hale on the geography map. This is Monticello, Arkansas. If anybody's ever been there, there's about 2 restaurants and a lot of mosquitoes. Okay, I would not advise going there. But we ran the same play. But this is now out of 10 personnel. My 10 personnel guys, I still fake the speed sweep motion now with number 3, and now he's going to tight wrap for scraper to safety. So I can still get to the same play if I want to be more 10 personnel. QB pulls, goes at the boundary, the corner's in man. So I know he's not going to fall off. So it turns into QB run game. All right, and then I put 3 quarterback drills in here, guys. All right, I wanted to show, before I move on, I had a question. I wanted to show 3 drills that I do that are RPO based instead of just focusing on mechanics or drops or all this other stuff. I'm going to show an RPO based quarterback drills that you guys can take away. All right, I had a question of, do you have a problem with O-line downfield with the fade ball? We get that call about once or twice a year. And for me, that's worth it. If I was getting that call 10, 15 times a year, then there's a problem. But we get about once or twice. And most of the time when we get it over the years, the quarterback was wrong and threw it late. And then we stress hanging on double teams. If we happen to touch linebackers, it's a bonus, is what we tell our guys. We want to uproot. And at my level, here's the deal. At high school, if you got a dominant offensive lineman, he's going to be downfield because that 185-pound D tackle that he's probably playing against, he can uproot. The chances that college O lineman can uproot completely a college defensive lineman is rare. It is rare for us to get those complete wash knockouts out of there. So that helps us out a little bit too at our level. Hope that answers your question. All right. First deal, I'm going to call it walking turns. All right. And it's a very easy drill that we incorporate in our daily warm-up mechanics. Is all I'm doing for a right-handed quarterback. You'll see I'm doing an example right here. I'm going to go right, left, right. And when the third step hits the ground, I want to see a dramatic hip flip because RPOs is all about your hips. And I've got to be able to flip those hips and watch. It's just a walk. And as soon as that right foot hits, I've got to completely turn my hips, my toe, my knee, all have to go through my target. I want to finish over that front toe. Golly, that looks like beautiful mechanics right there. I got about a quarter left in me. All right, so this is a very simple one that we do every day. This is an EDD. I make them do 4 or 5 of these every single day that just works the hip flip, the natural hip flip. You don't see me turning the other way in this drill. If I'm right-handed, I'm going to turn to my right. I got a left-handed cue that I'm throwing to right here that he's going to turn to his left, plant and throw. I got to get, you see how he tries to lock that front knee and his weight doesn't always distribute all the way through his toe. That's something I got to work with him on. And it's going to help him out even more. All right, let me stop right there. I think I had a quick chat before I get to this next drill. Oh, beautiful. Thank you, Coach Cruz. Great to see you in the room, buddy. All right, arm slots and rollouts. Different ways that I get my quarterbacks, different arm slots and rollout on the run drills, okay? Patrick Mahomes has changed the game of football because he's a baseball player. And baseball players, shortstops, throw from every single arm angle. So I practice throwing at different arm angles. So right here, this is called an angle flip. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to point my arm a direction. And I want all 3 of those guys to make a shuffle drop to that direction until I make a clap. Today was a reaction drill. Whenever I clap, they flip their hips to their target. So I had them shuffling this way, clap. I want to see the sudden flip, finish through. So this is just another way that I can work the flip, the hips that it takes to be great at RPOs. And then I'm incorporating that sound, that reaction call as well right there. So you see the first 2, they drop that way. Then I change the direction of the drop. I force my 2 righties to make a drop like you're a lefty. I force my lefty now. It's more of a natural drop for him. And now I'll make that clap. You see a dramatic hip flip ball. And I am putting them in game-like drops. I'm putting them in game-like situations instead of waiting till team to give them that hip flip. I want to constantly work that hip flip that it takes to be successful in the RPO game. And then the last one, I got to have quick hands. All right. I always ask my quarterbacks, who is the best guy to take to a gunfight? The fastest hands. All right. I want the fastest draw. So that's something that you have to work. There's some cues that are not fast at hand-eye coordination. So the best drill that I've come to find out, we call it the quick draw, all right, or the rapid fire drill. Who can pull the gun out of the holster the fastest is who survives in the Old West. So I've got 3 targets right here. I'm going to make them go straight down. I think we actually started at 3 and work this way. And I hold the ball at their eyes. I force them to put their hands behind their back. They cannot draw their gun. They can't draw their pistol out until I drop it. That forces those hands to be fast. And I'm working those hands to quick catch and go. Because not everybody plays shortstop. They didn't all turn 2 in baseball. All right. And then watch what I do. I stay right in front of them. Why? Because I'm giving them a pocket. I'm giving them pressure and forcing that arm angle to be weird. Don't allow them to be comfortable. Don't allow them to just stand there and make easy throws. Look at that. He's having to throw around me because that's what it's like. If I just give perfect pocket all day, then he's going to suck on Friday or Saturday. See right here, quick draw. I get in his face. He has to throw this moving backwards. So he just worked 3 different arm angles in a quick drill where I'm also working rapid hands right there. What does that help me do? It helps me throw that hot slant when they blitz me on the backside of power. I get one more right here. Same deal. Now it's my righty. Oh, he's having to move back. He's having to throw off his back foot to throw that hot slant because there's pressure right there in his face. When's the best time to do these, Coach? These are great during special teams because none of those, your dudes at quarterback are not playing any special teams. So that's my time to go work drills is during special teams. If I have Indy during practice, I'm throwing the receivers. I'm throwing the running backs. I'm throwing the quarterback. I have plenty of special team time to do any of these drills that I need done. And here's the other thing. Once you teach them these drills, let's say you have to help. All right, head coach, you're coaching quarterbacks. You have to go help with special teams, make sure everything's right. You teach these guys in the offseason these drills, and then they just go do them. You give them the drills you want done, and they can go do these drills on their own. You see, I make a different action every time to get in their face. I want them to feel pressure in drills. I don't want the first time they feel pressure is to be in team period. So I wanted to throw a lot at you guys today to show a little the way that we install, the way that we kind of scheme things, but also give you drills that you can take from this and add to your quarterback repertoire to make them better at RPOs.
Coach, you got any questions for?
Any questions?
Yeah, Coach. I feel like every offseason we're always looking at, are we running buck? Are we running pin pull, outside zone, whatever our outside run play is? Why, I guess aside from being a Malzahn guy, why buck sweep over the other ones?
I like, here's 2 things for me. I bet if you did a study of TFL runs, I bet outside zone is going to be the #1 TFL run in football because you are stressing those O linemen to be a little bit more flat. You know, some people even are teaching bucket step. You're going so flat that if you have penetrating defensive linemen, they're going to cause havoc against outside zone. And for me, I don't like TFLs. And the little bit that I've messed around with outside zone, I got more TFLs, and it made me more hesitant to it. For me, that high school O-line dad in me knew that if I wasn't great, if my O-lineman wasn't better than the other side of the ball, that I could always run gap scheme. I could always down block guys. So that's why buck sweep. The other way that we get on the edge, you just saw with our quarterback runs, is if they're going to be soft in their edges, I'm going to run buck sweep. I'm going to run power read, which we didn't show any of that today. I'm going to run speed sweep read, but we still block power. We don't actually run the jet play where they block to the play. So that's our ways of getting the edge and our RPOs. Because we're such a D-gap RPO team, that's our edge plays. So for us, outside zone just doesn't fit us really well. Now, if you're playing an odd team that's going to be 4 eyes, this new defense is starting to essentially bear. Running outside zone against that is really good because they're weak in the C gap. So I understand that there are certain defenses outside zones a little bit better against as well.
You got a couple questions in the chat. First one is, why do you use the pistol so often?
All right, I'll give a quick story. If there's any defensive guys in the room, they're probably going to cuss me out on this one. All right. So in 2017, I was Arkansas Tech. Was just writing the book that summer. And the spring before writing that book, I just happened to eavesdrop on my D-line coach and my DC at Arkansas Tech, scheming up the side that our back was on. And they said, all right, if the back is on this side, we're going to get our DN to play this way. We're going to get the overhang to play this way. The back is the same side. We're going to get this, this, and this. So I just sat there in my office and said, all right, you know what? I'm going to screw these guys today. I went to my running back coach and I said, hey, let's try the pistol today during that CQ period. Let's just see how we like it. And now we went out there and ended up finding out that the pistol slows down the run finish because they can't declare things pre-snap anymore. Now it takes some work. You got to understand that the mesh changes a little bit and you've got to make it so your quarterback isn't confused on the mesh. You want to put more on your running back with the mesh. Like I said, by bringing the feet in, his steps have to be right. So we go pistol to screw with the defense's pre and post snap fits.
All right, next question is, how do you make sure your O-line keeps blocking aggressively on the run?
They never know it's an RPO. And even when we get a penalty, the once or twice a year that we get a penalty on an RPO, I go to those guys and I say, hey, guys, keep doing what you're doing. All right, keep being physical. Keep being aggressive. That penalty's on me. So I make sure they never have any doubt if they should be aggressive. I don't even call, I'm gonna be honest with you, I rarely call quick game. All right. We're gonna throw drop back, we're gonna throw shots. I'm not gonna scheme any quick games because that's what my RPO is. My RPO is our quick game. It's how I get the ball out of my hands right now. I may scheme up 1 or 2 quick games a game because it's also, we do old school blocking where my tailback actually blocks the defensive end in quick game and we cut the crap out of them. So we do it twice a game just so our tailbacks can cut their defensive end. I don't do it for the quick game side of it. I do it to send a message to that defensive end. Hey, you better slow your butt down a little bit this game. So if that kind of answers your question with the O-line aggressiveness.
All right. Are there instances when you prefer 10 personnel to pull defenders away from the box and RPO the backers on slants?
The biggest thing I hate about 10 personnel, to be honest with you, is it kind of eliminates a lot of my run game. I'm not able to do as much as I want to in the run game world. There's one more gap that quarterback's got to be worried about. We are getting into the zone lock world. You're getting into the guard fold world. You're getting into the tackle dart world where we don't run dart and we don't run fold. So we're limited now to what we can run. It's just inside zone because we're not an outside zone team. So I know there's a lot of 10 personnel runs, but all of those don't fall into who we are. You can't run buck sweep. You can't run power. You can't run counter. Now you can scheme up ways to run Q stuff or RPO power like stuff. But I just feel like it doesn't match with us. I'm not saying I'm against it. It just doesn't match with what we want to do.
Any final questions here? We got about 5 minutes left.
Hey, Coach, one thing on your C-gap read with the outside release receiver. If you're getting a hard cover 2 corner that will not let you outside release, do you allow them to dip inside and stack it, or are you forcing the outside release? I'm gonna force it just the same way that you would run go flat. I'm gonna try to force it because here's what I understand at quarterback. If that corner goes and runs the defender out of bounds, then he can't make the tackle on you as well. So your quarterback's just going to end up running the football. Appreciate it.
Because what's going to scare you is he gets the inside release. It's just going to take him closer to that safety. And if that quarterback tries to make that throw, that may be a lights out ambulance getting called a little bit right there. So we just tell him keep going outside till you can't. If there's anything that you guys didn't like, feel free to reach out to Morgan Cruz and give him a hard time over any of this stuff. But hey, Coach Cruz, good seeing you in here as well. Guys, I hope you've got to figure this out through the last 2 or 3 years. I'm an open book. I didn't invent the game of football. I'm a math teacher. So I've got a math degree. I was a high school math teacher for 5 years. So my mind works in equations. So I don't know if you've kind of piece that together. I'm an O-line coach's son and I'm a math teacher. So that's kind of where we came up with the equation of how we do RPOs. And if you ever have any questions, guys, feel free to reach out to me and ask any question of me. I try to answer as many emails or direct messages as I can. And enjoyed having you. We're going to do another one of these. That's for MTSU is holding an offensive clinic that leads into some individual. All of our coaches are going to do indie drills as a breakout session on Thursday. If you're interested in that, check my my social media, check my Twitter, and get the information on that.
Coach, really appreciate you you agreeing to come on tonight. This was pure gold, I can tell you. And for everybody who knows, I'm probably the biggest Brent Dearmon apologist when it comes to what you do and promoting the things that you do. And I can confirm what Coach Dearmon was just saying. He's an open book. He responds to a lot of things. So hit him up. Because like he told, we were talking before, not long ago, he was a D2 offensive coordinator. He was a high school coach before he was in Auburn. And he's the son of a high school coach. So he understands and he gets it. So Coach, I really appreciate you coming on and joining us tonight.
Yes, sir. And the last thing I just try to remind everybody of, guys, is kind of my upbringing. I was a high school coach's son, but my dad was also a deacon in my church always growing up. And one lesson he always taught me, I try to share, guys, is the good Lord's not going to ask us how many games we won and lost when we get there. So he's going to ask us the impact that we left. So, I encourage you guys to leave that lasting impact every single day you get.
Coach, appreciate it. You have a great time, great night, great off season, and hopefully we'll be able to, a bunch of us, be able to see you Thursday night.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it. Thank you.